So we're just gonna jump straight into it. What fueled your love for music creation, like beat making, mixing, and mastering, things like that?
So before I even knew what mixing and mastering and audio production was, I was pretty young, like nine, 9 years old, and my parents introduced me to the first like music, artists that I was exposed to. So Elvis Presley, the Beatles, Creedence Clearwater Revival. That then branched out into my own findings of classic rock, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC. And when I saw those guys on stage playing music and listening to that energy that they were making, it just sparked something in me. And I wanted to be a guitar player before anything else. So at age 10, the following year, my parents got me my first guitar. So that then became the ultimate obsession. And I started taking lessons, and really the goal was to become a rock star from a very young age. I wanted to be a guitar player in a band and become a professional touring musician in the rock genre. So, audio and beat making and all that wasn't even on my radar at all in the beginning. So.
Oh, nice. And I've heard you play, so I know you're really good at it.
Thank you.
If there was one thing that you had to, if somebody wanted to get into like learning how to play guitars or just getting into music, what advice would you give them?
Start with experimenting with different instruments, or just choosing an instrument right out the gate. I mean, before I even touched any instruments, like I was saying, I knew it was guitar for me. I just felt a connection to that instrument immediately, just seeing and hearing it. So, that might be the same for others out there. You might see a singer and go, oh, I want to do that. I want to sing. You might see a guitar player or a bass player and know that you want to do that, or a drum set and you want to do that. But for everybody, it might not be as obvious. So experiment with different things until you find an instrument that just sparks your passion, and then teach yourself or sign up for lessons if you can afford lessons. YouTube tutorials is another great resource. You can basically get your education for free nowadays online.
Yeah, basically.
Google, YouTube, whatever. Sure, not all creators online that are putting out content are created equal as far as the quality of their content and the reliability of their information that they're putting out. But if you know what to look for, you can really teach yourself just about anything these days,
Okay, so the concept of my podcast is helping people help people.
Right.
Basically, the growth and the progression of it. So we don't want to just learn from people's successes. We also want to learn from their failures as well.
Which is, in my opinion, more important.
Right. So with that being said, has there been any failures that you've learned from in the music space that you can probably give some wisdom to anybody who's already there, who hasn't been through these type of things yet?
Yeah. So, I mean, many failures or course corrections, depending on how you want to look at it. So just staying on the same vein of subject that I've been on. So like I said, the original goal was to be in a band and play guitar and become a touring musician and go that route professionally. Something that I was faced with time and time again in that position was not being able to find the right group of people to be in a band with. So, whether it be another guitarist who wasn't reliable, another drummer who wasn't skilled enough to keep up with the rest of us in the band, finding a singer and keeping these people involved, and not just that, but finding people that were of the right skill level, and even more importantly, just dedicated and committed with the same long-term vision in mind. That kept being an issue because we just could not find the right combination of people. So we would get a good thing going with, 4 or 5 guys in the band. We would start playing gigs, recording our material, things like that. And then every single time we had a lineup, one of them would drop the ball, whether it be not taking practicing seriously, not showing up, not wanting to get better at their instrument. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So we kept running into that. I kept running into that, feeling like, why is it just me and one other person in the band, that really want to commit and put in the time and the effort that it's going to take, that we know it's going to take, to really take our dream and bring it into fruition. So I played in numerous bands, and that was continuously the issue that we kept running into. So what I eventually realized is I need to listen to, God, really. Is God trying to tell me something here? Why do I keep, forcing this if it's not what God wants to happen, right? So course correction. So I said to myself, I don't have to stop playing music. I don't have to stop playing guitar. I don't have to stop, pursuing my dream, so to speak, but I might need to rethink how I'm going about that. So this is where my interest in other genres of music and beat making really came into play. So I was exposed to hip hop for the first time by a close friend of mine at the time. His name is David Purcell. He was actually one of my first closest connections when I moved here to Georgia from Virginia. And he exposed me to, like, quote, boom bop or old school hip hop, specifically West Coast hip hop, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg.
Classics.
And the first time I heard Dr. Dre, his production, I was just like, I'd never heard anything like this before.
Well, he's the doctor.
He is the doctor. And man, I just was so blown away by the sound of his records and just the energy of it and how catchy everything was. And, it's high energy music. And that's the type of music that I love, that resonated with me, that's always resonated with me. Rock music, metal music has always resonated with me. And I find that hip hop, in a very unique and different way, brings that same high energy to the table. So Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, West Coast hip hop, Ice Cube, NWA. Then I branched into Notorious B.I.G. And he, to this day, is probably my favorite rapper of all time. And I guess that's considered East Coast hip hop. Mm-hmm. So I got into East Coast hip hop, Nas, Notorious B.I.G., and I was just obsessed. And what resonated with me the most was the musical side of it, the beats. So being in a kind of a transitional period with the band, or bands, I should say, I'm trying to think of how can I continue on this path and kind of course correct and avoid running into this issue of not finding the right group of people to work with. So beat making, it can be a collaborative effort, but you only need one thing at the end of the day. That's you and the music. Right. You don't need anybody else to do that. Just yourself and some equipment or software, and it's all up to you. So that is when beat making then became the focus. And, I could still play guitar on my own time or incorporate guitar into the beats themselves and that sort of thing. So that right there, and I was probably about 15, 16 at the time, is when beat making became the ultimate focus. So.
Well, in terms of I guess you mentioned earlier that the touring thing just didn't work out.
No.
Sometimes you have to put it into perspective. You said just following God. You still might not even know what road God is putting you on, what path he's putting you on. Even up to now, you probably still don't know. Things may be working out. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's the path that he puts you on.
That's right.
So I feel like just keeping everything into perspective.
Yep.
Not getting frustrated over the things that you can't control. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a good start in terms of I know where he's taking me.
Right.
Because just going into something else doesn't necessarily mean that he wanted you there.
No, but you'll never know unless you try.
Right. It wouldn't be, I don't think it's a means to an end. Mm-hmm. I think that he has a bigger plan.
Right.
But a lot of people, and I'm not saying that this is you, but a lot of people, they get so complacent, they get so comfortable.
Yes.
In where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole premise of this podcast, just constant progression.
Yeah.
So it's always searching for how can I be more impactful? How can I be just a better person in general, day after day, week after week? And I think just opening your mind, opening your heart, and being open to perspective
Yes.
in general helps that.
Totally.
And then I know you talked about beat making.
Yes.
A lot of people are probably going to ask me, what is your software of choice?
So again, I've done a lot of experimenting, and I still experiment. As of right now, I love to use the Machine MPC style unit and software to kind of put together patterns or loops to kind of form like just an initial concept for a beat, you know, a 4-bar, 8-bar, 16-bar, 24-bar, whatever, pattern, and just to get the general idea out. And then what I'll do from there is I will bounce out those tracks that I've put together and as stems, and I'll bring them into my editing and mixing software of choice, which is Logic Pro. And then from there, I'll edit what I did in Machine further and start to expand on what I made and build out an arrangement, into a full song from there. Once that full song is laid out and mostly edited, most of the creative stuff is done, and then I can dive into the technical side of, making sure the mix is right and the balance of everything is right. And there's definitely a creative aspect to that too, at times. But I do tend to think of that more as the technical side of things, and I like to keep the processes as separate as possible. That's something I learned when I was in school for audio mixing and mastering. Is it's helpful just, as a creator, to get the creative stuff out as quickly as you can and not think about any of the technical stuff. So just get out the creative ideas, get out the melodies, get out the drum beat, and then without trying to like mix anything, a little volume adjustment here or there is okay, but anything that kind of takes you out of that creative space can work against you when you're in that part of the process. So get out all the creative stuff, get your melodies out, get your drums out, and then I'll bounce that into Logic Pro. And from there, I kind of switch mindsets into, okay, I need to edit this down. This isn't sounding right. I need to do some EQ or compression or whatever the case may be here. And it's very helpful to kind of break up the creative and technical side of things into different parts of the process, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I kind of went off on a tangent there, but yeah, Logic Pro and Machine, definitely in tandem. I like to use multiple softwares for different things, kind of play to their strengths.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people would swear by FL Studio and
that's where I started.
Tools and all of these other softwares. So I'm trying to figure out how to word this question. This one might be a bit complicated.
Yeah, and you might need to stop me because I'm realizing I'm going off on tangents here.
hey, that's what this is for. That's what this is for. So the way that you create your music, how would you relate that to how you live your life every day? Or how would you use you creating music as motivation if you had to compare or you had to give it? Man, I'm messing up this question.
You're fine.
But like using like the process of music, how would you explain that to somebody you're trying to motivate to continue improving in their lives, or if there's something that they want to do to just pursue that and they just go all in?
Well, I don't think you need to spend a ton of money on schooling. If anybody tells you you need a college degree to pursue anything in the arts or entertainment industry, they are misinformed. And I believe that wholeheartedly. Not that having a degree or going to school is a bad thing. If that's what you want to do, it can lead to a much easier way to network initially, to forming connections and stuff like that. There's definitely contacts at universities and people that you'll meet and make relationships with that know other people in the industry and oftentimes are successful themselves. For instance, I actually had the opportunity to record with French Spencer. And I don't know if a lot of people really know French just by name, but he recorded a lot of artists. The first one that comes to mind is Sierra. He was a recording engineer for Sierra. And, you know, I never would have met him had it not been for my wife, Ashley, attending the Art Institute of Atlanta at the time. So that's a perfect example of how, you know, going to school can definitely put you in contact with some really cool people. But that said, it's not a requirement. You don't need to go into debt to pursue your dream. You need to do what it is you want to do. If you want to be a guitar player, you need to play guitar. If you want to be a drummer, you need to play drums. If you want to be a beat maker, you need to make beats. If you want to be an audio engineer, you need to start mixing audio for people, even if it's for very little or no money in the beginning. Doing is the answer. If you really want something, you have to do it. I see so many people, and I mean, we've all been there, I think, at one point or another, but I see so many people who worry so much about all the little what ifs. You know, what if I don't do something this particular way? Is that going to hurt me down the line or prevent me from getting to the goal that I want to get to? And all that is a giant rabbit hole in your head.
Yeah.
And it's just going to pull you away from doing what you should be doing, which is your craft.
Man, and speaking of that, that's the reason why I hadn't started my podcast. Like I did so many interviews, I did so many things, just trying to learn different processes.
Yep.
And, oh, my website's not perfect, or everything just had to be perfect for me.
Right.
And then it kind of stared me away. 1 year turned into 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be starting this podcast.
Yep.
And two years have gone by.
Yeah, no, I think we've all fallen into that trap. And it's something that I still to this day have to constantly remind myself of. You know, when I'm working for my mixing or mastering clients, you know, years ago when I was still kind of just starting to do that, it would take me so long to finish a project that I realize now should have only taken me, you know, sometimes a master only should take you about an hour. Sometimes, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 hours, a mix, even depending on how many tracks you're dealing with, a couple hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, a day or two, maybe, depending on how big the session is. I remember, man, I was so worried about just all these little pointless things in my head. And I would take weeks on one project or over a month on one project, whether it be for a client or for a beat I was working on. You know, it didn't matter. I was overthinking it, and so much time wasted overthinking that. And when I finally overcame that and just became more comfortable with, you know, trust yourself, make a decision and commit to that decision and then keep it moving. If you apply that to everything that you're doing in your life and with your craft, you're going to exponentially increase the speed at which your output is going by so much. So, you know, now I make a decision when I'm working on something and I commit to that decision if it feels good. And that is one of the most critical pieces of advice I could offer to anybody, probably in any industry, not just in ours, but any industry. Be decisive, trust your gut, don't question it, commit to your decisions, and then keep it moving. Trust me, you'll thank me later.
I know that you do live stream sound for the church,
Yes.
Dunwoody Baptist Church in Georgia. How has that experience been?
It's been a journey, and I'm so glad that I decided to do it. I mean, I'm so happy with the progress that we've made, just as a team as a whole. But, you know, of course, selfishly, I'm very proud of how far the quality of the and consistency of the live stream audio has come. Because when I first came on board, the church was in a very rough spot when it came to the overall quality and consistency of their live stream audio, which is what really motivated me to try and become a part of that, because I just saw a huge opportunity for growth there for them, and I really wanted to help out. So yeah, it's been great. There's been some tough times, but it's been worth it. We're in the best place we've been at since I came on board. So
I also know that at the same church you teach.
Yes.
So you want to elaborate on that? Like, what do you teach?
Yeah. So
what age groups do you teach?
our worship pastor asked me if I could come on board as a guitar instructor. We are our DSA, Dunwoody School for the Arts, was run through the church here at DBC, and they were short on guitar instructors. So our worship pastor Robert actually saw a video of me that I posted online playing a little excerpt from Metallica Master of Puppets on guitar. And so he was like, whoa, okay, I knew you played guitar, but I didn't know you could play like that. So he asked me if I'd be willing to come on board and teach. So, having the flexibility of making my own schedule for the most part, working from home most of the week, for my audio business, I decided to give it a shot. And I'm teaching all age groups. I do think that you can be a little too young to start an instrument. So I really like age 8 and up. So children, beginners, intermediate, advanced, all the way up to adults. Teach basically everybody. And it's been awesome. It's actually been kind of refreshing, because when I was a young teenager in Virginia, I actually had a couple of neighbors that took guitar lessons from me as I was still, in the midst of guitar lessons myself. And I really enjoyed doing that. Taught for a couple of years just out of my parents' house in Virginia, a couple of neighbors of mine, and it was a very rewarding experience. So it's been nice to dive back into that professionally and on a regular basis. It's a lot of fun. It's very heartwarming, and I find that it makes me a better player still, to have to adapt to different people's learning styles and maybe learn songs that I wouldn't normally learn myself for a student. It just it keeps me on my toes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're down to. I have one last question, but I may have two.
Keep
Let's
them coming.
Let's see how it goes.
I feel like we're just getting started.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years. So, wherever God wants me, first of all. But I know wife and I would love to start a family, God willing. So that's definitely going to have what I would assume, massive impact on our lifestyle. As I was just saying, I do work from home a lot. So that is probably going to end up working to our advantage, having a child. So I'm going to definitely still try to be doing everything that I'm working at now. I hope I'm able to continue to teach here at DSA, although that may be one thing that I will have to either dial back on or maybe switch to online lessons only. Reasoning for that, having a child. My wife works full time here at the church, so somebody has to look after the kid. So I would see myself continuing to work from home and taking care of our child, and just navigating that with my wife, becoming a parent. It's wild to think about. I still feel like a kid myself a lot of the times. But I mean, it's exciting to think about, and I'm definitely not going to be slowing momentum on what I have going as far as audio mixing and mastering production, just being a music creator in general. I'm definitely still going to be a part of the church here, and doing the live stream audio on Sunday. But yeah, it's just going to require a little bit of maneuvering, which I think the only thing that's going to really teach me that is just by doing it. I'm just, we've got to have a kid and
just do it.
And just do it.
Just get through it.
Yeah, exactly. Just get through it, and just trust God through the process, and listen to God throughout the process, and just let experience guide me through that. Just like experience has guided me through my career professionally, So.
So I do have another question. Are there any struggles or anything that you're currently going through that you're working through at the moment?
So and this is probably not going to surprise anybody who's been working at being successful in creative industries, music, art of any kind, but business is inconsistent in this industry for the most part. There are big ups and there are big downs. You know, you can have a great couple of months where you have so much work you don't know what to do with, and then you can have a stretch of a month, 2, 3, 4, whatever, where you're barely working or are not receiving any, you know, client inquiries. So what I've learned through that is diversify what you do. Use all of your strengths and talents and figure out different avenues that can work together in tandem. So for example, I run live stream audio on Sundays here at the church. During the week, I work from home the majority of the week for my audio mixing and mastering clients. And then I also produce music for other artists, rappers, singer-songwriters, sync licensing opportunities, music libraries to be placed in for brand deals or commercials or TV and movies. I'm also coming into the church, depending on the season, once or twice per week to teach guitar lessons. So as you can see, I'm diversified in what I'm doing. You know, I have my own entrepreneurial business with the audio mixing and mastering. That's 1 or 2, depending on how you look at it. Beat making, that's 3. Or another 2, really, depending on how you look at it, because you can beat make for artists or you can make instrumentals for sync licensing or both. So that right there, just those couple of things is 1, 2, 3, 4 avenues. Teaching guitar at the church, that's a 5th avenue. Live stream sound at the church, that's a 6th avenue. So you see how many different ways I've diversified my skill set. You know, they all relate to one another. I'm using all of my strengths and abilities and skill sets to do different things, but they're really all one and the same.
For me, my struggle probably over the last year would be imposter syndrome.
Oh man, I hear that.
I've been going through that for a year. I'm still struggling with that.
Let's talk about that.
Trying to get through that. It's been awkward because I've never had that issue until like I really started diving into my business and still doing freelance on the side and stuff like that. And people who would book me, it got really awkward.
Okay.
Because they stopped booking me for someone who not like they don't know as much as me, but because like, man, I don't even know.
Their brand is just more established, or
I think that's what it is. I think their brand is more established. Like I've done well over 1,000 shows. I think maybe in that 1,000 shows, I've had 3 failed shows.
That's a pretty good track record, if you ask me.
That was like in the first 50 shows of my entire career. But it's just so awkward because, like, I meet people who would know a particular thing better than me.
That's a good thing, though.
And then I'm immediately like, all right, maybe I don't know enough.
Nah, so
and then someone else would have to come and tell me, like, he only knows how to do this one thing. You know how to do this and that and this and that.
I've had so many experiences similar to that. So there are so many people that are trying to be the best of the best in as many different things as possible. And hey, if you can do that, more power to you. But in my experience, the most successful people are extraordinary at just a handful of things. And usually those things work in tandem with one another, you know? And on top of that, you never want to be the smartest person in the room. I believe that wholeheartedly. You never want to be the smartest person in the room, because where's the opportunity for growth? Where's the opportunity to learn more and become better, or exposed to new information that you didn't even know you needed that makes you even better at what you're doing? I mean, I really do believe that wholeheartedly. And you can look at it 2 ways. Those encounters with people who know more than you or have more experience than you. You can let it get you down and let it cause you to question, you know, your authenticity or whatever, hence the imposter syndrome. And believe me, I've been there many times. I think we all have, and we all, it comes around from time to time, but you have to take control of those moments and say to yourself, okay, am I going to listen to the enemy, which is telling me I'm an imposter and that, I don't know what I'm doing here, or this person's so much better than me. How am I supposed to compete with that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Or am I going to say, I'm being faced with an opportunity right now to absorb knowledge and experience from somebody else who knows more about this particular area, than me. And I'm going to walk away from this better from having had that interaction and that experience.
Right. And it's weird because I would never say that like I'm extraordinary at everything.
Mm-hmm. Neither would I.
I am very good at what I do, which is a lot of things.
Right.
As it pertains to video,
Mm-hmm.
switchers, LED walls, widescreen projection, cameras. Like
Your knowledge is extensive.
Like, very extensive, and you know that.
I do know that. Having worked with you.
So it's like for me, it's kind of like when I say it's awkward because I know all of these things. I know all of these things extensively. It throws me off because I don't know one thing extraordinary. Like I don't know one thing like way up there that I guess like I would be known for. When people reach out to me, they know me as the video guy that does everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a master of trade. I mean, what's the saying? Jack of all trades, master of none, kind of thing. I'm that.
Which is not always a bad thing, though. But I disagree with you on one thing you said, that you don't have that one thing or that couple of things that you're extraordinary at. Everybody does. Everybody does. But sometimes there's a lot of chipping away and digging through everything that we've learned that to really get to that, to get to those one or two just extraordinary things about what makes us as people and as professionals in our industry. So yeah, don't ever doubt that you don't have something that's a total gem to bring to the table that someone else doesn't. I'm telling you, these people that you meet who blow you away and make you think, oh man, I'm not worthy or whatever lie you're telling yourself that we all do. There's something in you that they don't know either, or that they're not an expert at either, or that they could know better or do better themselves.
Right.
Always.
Man, and that's what this podcast is about. I guess just trying to help people. Somebody else might be going through imposter syndrome, and just hearing it from you or hearing it from someone else in a different industry.
Yes.
Completely and entirely, like that can give you advice. So I'm here trying to talk to you, and then I'm allowing you to interview me as well.
Sure.
So we've known each other for a while. This is Kevin Spratt. This is a close friend of mine. His wife is a close friend of mine. And I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too, brother.
But I have to ask one final thing.
Keep it coming.
As we end this episode of this podcast, if there was one thing out of our entire conversation that you would like to elaborate on, or if you just had to tell the listener or the viewer one thing, one piece of advice
Yep.
based on our conversation, what would that be?
Okay, it's probably going to be another tangent. I think this whole conversation was full of tangents. I don't do this often, so I didn't even realize how often I go on tangents. So I'm going to start with the cliche, which is do not give up. Do not give up. No matter how much you want to give up, no matter how hard it gets, you are. If you don't hit any low periods on your journey, you are very, very, very lucky. And I'm almost inclined to say that that's impossible. You are going to have some very, very low moments on this journey, especially in the beginning. And if you give up, somebody who has a lot of influence on me in my life, Gary Vaynerchuk, VaynerMedia, VeeFriends, look him up, Gary V. Okay, something he says, I don't know if I'm going to quote him directly or not, but he's only afraid of one thing, or his biggest fear is regret in life. And man, if you give up on your dream, you will have regret. You'll have lots of regret. you'll always be feeling like, what if, what if I'd done this differently? Or what if I had tried harder here? You can do it. You absolutely can do it. Just stay the course. When you hit a roadblock, look at it as an opportunity and not as something that's going to stop you in your tracks. Okay? There's no such thing. Only you are in control of your journey, you and God. And as long as you just keep listening to that voice inside of you and pursue what you want to pursue, or just really tune into that instinct and let yourself be pulled in that direction that God is pulling you in, because God will always want you to use your gift and your talents to serve the world. You will be okay and you'll get through it. I've gone through moments, extended periods of time, where I've had zero work, or I've had difficult client after difficult client, or I've had people tell me, oh, you're bad at this, or whatever. If you let any of those moments stop you or question your path forward, it's a waste to do that. It's just a total waste. You're letting yourself down and you're letting the world down, because the world isn't going to get to experience your gift. And we've all got them. We've all got gifts. We've all got something to offer the world. So don't give up. I know it's cliche, but just do not give up.
Man, that was powerful. Because I feel that more, because I've been in a situation, even with this podcast, where I just wanted it to be perfect. And at this point, I don't even care. I just want to put content out. I want to be able to help people.
Right.
And then those people in turn help more people. Mm-hmm. And then those people in turn help more people. I want to build a community around
Yes, community is so important, especially in this industry. And it's a small industry. A lot of people don't realize that it's a small industry. And once you get connected into one little circle, it's crazy how many others are connected to those little circles. And it's really just a small little family of people. A niche network of people, video, audio, music, just production in general. So you never know what connection, what person is going to, possibly, I don't want to say open the door for you, but show you the door and give you the opportunity to open it up and walk through it. It's so important to just don't question it. Keep going and adapt. Don't be afraid to adapt. If it's uncomfortable, it's probably something you need to push yourself to do, because there is no growth that comes out of being, like you said earlier, Trevano, complacent and comfortable for too long. To grow and get better, you have to be adaptive. So if you need to change course, do it. If you need to adjust how you're going about doing a certain task, or how you deal with your clients, how you're promoting yourself or not promoting yourself, just do it. Experiment. Can always be a student and continue to learn and adapt, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. So in this podcast, there's a lot of things that I want to do, and so I'm starting it. And even every episode, I'm gonna tell the person next to me what I'm doing, so that they can encourage me and just push me, as well as the listener, the watcher, they can do the same. So I'm on this weight loss journey, just getting in shape.
Oh, me too, man.
I'm very sore. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I already want to quit, but
man, I'll tell you, the more consistent you are with that, though, the working out, the soreness gets a lot easier to deal with. It really does. It starts to, you recover quicker and you don't get as sore as you did in the beginning. Just stick with it.
Man,
it gets easier.
I am dying right now. You have no idea.
Well, you can do it, man. If you love to eat as much as I do, and I can do it, you can definitely.
Have you not seen me?
You can do it. Trust me. At my heaviest, I think I was between 220 and 230 pounds, and I'm now down to 155. Between 155 to 160 pounds.
Yeah, because I was 268 and I'm at 238, 239 around there. So I lost a lot of weight, but it wasn't like because of gym. It was like dieting and walking.
Well,
but now I'm just trying to like get in shape.
What we're putting in our bodies, I think, is like 80, 90% of it. The food we eat is arguably even more important than, going hardcore into working out. I mean, they're both important, but yeah, I mean, I lost the majority of the weight through changing my diet. And then the exercising really is just to build muscle and endurance, just overall health and fitness. But changing your form, it's really about what you eat. I really believe that because I've seen it firsthand with myself. As soon as I changed my diet, the pounds just started melting off of me. So.
Oh man, that could be a whole different.
Yeah.
That could be a whole different episode. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold you up. I know you're busy today. You got some things to do. You got some people to teach. I think.
Yep.
You have a class today.
Yep.
So thank you for coming.
Of course, we should do it again.
Again, this is well, I'll let you introduce here.
Kevin Spratt, audio mixing, mastering professional, musician, guitar instructor, beat maker, just a creative individual. Just say
Just
that.
an average guy doing amazing things.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.